artificial intelligence. So when you hear AI, what does that mean to you? Now, according to my wife, 27 years as of yesterday. Come on, give my wife applause, because I don't deserve any of it. She'll tell you that there's a lot of artificial things in me, but the truth is, when we say artificial intelligence, I want you to understand that it's very, very basic. Come on, got to get there we go. And it is nothing more than the automation of human tasks, okay? The reason I mentioned that is we only are hearing about generative AI today, which is ChatGPT, but the power of artificial intelligence at its core is so much more. And if you ignore that part in a business, especially now, like your first employee, yeah, it could be ChatGPT, but honestly, it should be a Zapier or a Make.io, something that automates the stuff so that you can go out and sell, so that you can add value. Get that other stuff out of the way. Those are the things that matter the most. So when I say artificial intelligence, keep it at its core. Keep it at its core more than anything else, okay? To me, the most important thing to do. I'm sorry, I'm a realist. I promise not to use any swear words, but I'm going to definitely talk as plain as I can today. So what you see up here right now is the evolution of artificial intelligence. And I'll let you know where we are today, and I want you to know that this one at the end, the AI singularity, anybody heard about that? That's like when the robots take over. That's not in any of our lifetime, okay? Where are we today? If you look at the bottom, you see rules-based? Think about that. You know what the first real artificial intelligence was? Give me something that is just like way out there when it comes to artificial intelligence. What do you think? One of my students had a great one, the abacus. Like anything that automates human tasks. An abacus, that's the first real calculator, right? It had little beads on it and stuff. Yes, I used it as a kid. You can tell by the gray hair, right? No, a calculator automates human tasks. I mean, Google Maps automates things that we used to do ourselves. Remember that. It's things as simple as that. So the reason it's called rules-based, if you think about it, it's a bunch of if-then statements. If this happens, then it wants you to do this. If I press this button, it thinks it's a 6 on a calculator. Anybody ever play with Excel? Anybody ever do an if-then statement? You are an AI guru if you've done an if-then statement. If-then statements is what code has been based on for years. Anything up to this point has been if this, then that. Now, November of 22, gosh, I keep wanting to think it was longer than that. Just November of 2022, we went to context. When did this become a thing? Really? It really became a thing in 1956. That's when the first real computer-based artificial intelligence program was created. But I'm like ancient times. Like, in my opinion, you go back to what China was doing, like in the BC times, they had automated tea pours. Why is that not AI? It's something that automates a human task. So I want you to think of it at its core so that when you're in your business, think of it in terms that can automate something, or now we're getting into the world where it can generate new things, and we're getting there too. So think about that. 2022, I need an artificial intelligence calculator for this, right? 1956, it's 66-ish years. That's how long it took to go from 1 to 2. Where are we going to be with this domain-specific mastery? What does that mean? That means your business, you can run on ChatGPT, but wouldn't it be amazing if you had your own large language model, your own AI, not the one you're borrowing from somewhere else? Ladies and gentlemen, that's this year. So we're going from 2 to 3 this year. That's not that big a deal. Don't worry about it. That's actually a great thing. Because right now, if you give me your data, I can create you a model. And then you can ask it questions. Man, that saved you a lot of time. We are at that point. So I don't want you to think about the only thing you need is ChatGPT. What you need is you. Remember that. The most important thing in your business is you. Still to this day. And that's what leads to that domain mastery. When are we going to get to reasoning? You know what reasoning is? Whoa, this one's a little bit loose here. If I fall down, you're allowed to laugh. That's okay. My students do it to me all the time. I showed up. Okay, I had a great day on Wednesday. I was with my 3 dogs. I got this dog named, you're going to see Squeeze here in a second. I've got a dog named Frank that literally is, you go to touch him, he'll pee himself. I shouldn't be telling you all this stuff, but just love my dogs. I had this great day, and I teach at night, so I have to get to my 6 o'clock class, and so I rush out of the house. I get there, I'm sort of okay dressed, you know, a little bit down from this, and I'm in slippers. I was in slippers because I was working in my house with my dogs all day, and I go, oh my gosh, and I'm on a platform like this, I'm like, I'm wearing slippers. I didn't even notice it. You know, they're the kind that, like, you know, they're a little bit of rubbered sole on the back, so didn't know it until I got to right in front of 33 students, and I was like, and I'm wearing slippers. So anyways, if I can do that, I can pretty much do anything. All right, this one. Anybody ever have an autopilot car or see one of those? That's great stuff, right? A Tesla or now Rivians and now Ford, everybody's coming out with something. What you can see about that is it does use cameras, but wouldn't it be great if it could also talk to the car next to it? That's when things are going to get interesting. When we have connected, automated vehicles, that is when it gets to where we want to go. And that's, unfortunately, a few years away, more because of politics and infrastructure. And it's when computers can talk to computers, that's when we get to level 4. Now, I have some things about going to number 5, 6, and 7, and I'll get into that here in a second. But artificial general intelligence means when the computers are as smart as us. Superintelligence means it's smarter than us. And then the singularity literally means we're letting the robots do the work. I still don't think that's ever going to happen. I don't. So we're not going to do the pessimist. I'm the optimist in the AI space. I can tell you that. I got to make sure. And speaking of which, I want to make sure I stay on task so you guys don't get into all the crazy traffic today. So I know you're all asking, well, then what is this whole ChatGPT thing? So let me give you my version of how I think about generative AI. So generative is what's happened now. That's what everybody's using. That's what you're seeing. You're generating all of this new content, right? So literally, that is the definition. It's generative AI creates new knowledge. Before November of 2022, we couldn't do that. We hard-coded everything. So when you saw any chatbot you ever went to before, it was an if-then statement. Alexa. Don't get me started with Alexa. Have you ever asked Alexa a question, and it goes, sorry, I don't understand it, and you got to ask like 18 different ways?
Sorry, my name's Siri.
Oh, well, now you just made everybody's phone go off, and look what you did. And the reason is because you have to ask it in a way that it understands the if-then statement. That goes away in the next year because it'll be replaced with a generative AI model. All right, so let me tell you how I think of this stuff. So, in the past, we would have a problem, and then I would have to go get a data set to solve that problem. Now, I have the data set. And do you know what ChatGPT is built on? Do you know what it's really built on? The internet. Publicly available data. And some behind paywalls that they're getting in trouble for right now with the New York Times. It's publicly available data. It's things like pictures of my Frank. And don't you love Frank? That's Frank, folks. And other dogs, right? Oh, by the way, this is Squeeze. This is my dog here. That's my little English bulldog. Took my dogs for a walk today, and everybody's always looking at me because they got Frank that's real tall, and my little Squeeze, and then my little hound dog, and everyone's like, that dude's crazy. And I'm like, yes, I am. Trying to walk these dogs is that. But it has a lot more than that in there, doesn't it? It has pictures of cats. It has a giraffe. It has people. It has buildings. It has all the text you could imagine, all the pictures, everything that's been on the internet It's in their model. Do you know how much their model cost to train? That's why you're not going to create it yourself with all of the internet. It is $500 million to train a model. For Gemini, Google's version, it was closer to $1 billion to train it once. That's how much processing power it took. So, now if we were to create one, would it cost that? No, not with our data. But we could do the same stuff at a lower scale. So, what do we do now? We ask it a question. I want an English bulldog running in a meadow. This is my first image I ever created. Not bad, right? I was like, are you kidding me? It can do that good? Well, wait a minute. Could it also... How about an English bulldog running in the style of Popeye? I'll tell you what, I love that picture. I'm going to get that thing framed and put it out over my desk. It was like, and I could just keep going. And all of a sudden, what I noticed about me is I was being creative. Why is that awful? Why is that awful? I can't draw that. I can't paint that. I cannot do that in Adobe Illustrator. But at least I have a starting point, an inspiration. AI can be your inspiration. It doesn't have to be you, but it can be your inspiration. And I think that is where I have really enjoyed using this stuff. I use more image stuff than I do anything else. I have this silly little podcast, and we make the podcast art for it and everything. It's called Data for All. What a surprise. I'm a big data guy. And that is why I kept creating these kind of pictures. Okay, this is the part that I earned my keep today. This, if you understand this, you will be able to implement this into your business. Okay, so we talked about a large language model. ChatGPT is not a large language model. It is an application. It is a program that you are accessing on the web. The model is GPT-4, right? You've heard that. So ChatGPT is just a program that uses this large language model called GPT-4. What is GPT-4? We already talked about it. The data, that's the fuel, right? That's what drives it. But then you've got to process it. So to me, this is an engine. I'm sorry, I'm a car guy. I love cars. And so I equate it to that. So the car can't run without an engine, and an engine can't work without fuel. So what does that look like for us? Well, data then is the internet, if it's ChatGPT. It's got GPT-4 as the processor. It's called a generative pre-trained transformer. I'd love to show you the math. It's really cool. No, it's not. It's awful. It's awful. I can barely understand it, and I've tried and tried. But it's just the old machine learning at a different level is all it really is. And then ChatGPT. So this could be the internet. Gemini is what Google now has. And then you're using it right now when you search. Or if you go to Google Bard, bard.google.com. If you go to Perplexity, by the way, perplexity.ai, write it down. I don't know if I have it, Perplexity. I hope you know how to spell it, because I don't know if I do. Perplexity.ai. You know why I like it? It is a ChatGPT text-based, and it gives you the source that it got the data from. .ai. So now you can go to that website that it got the information from. I love that. And if you pay for it, because you know I've got like 50 different $10 a month things. My wife's killing me right now. She said we couldn't go out to dinner last night for our 27th because all my, no, I'm kidding. We did. We went to House of Cards. You ever go? Oh my gosh, you got to go. It's the worst magic ever, but it was fun. I was like, I see the card in his hand. Yeah, no, it was great. It was great. It was a great time. But Perplexity.ai, if you pay for it, you can. So Perplexity, think of that, that's the application. You can say, I want to use GPT-4. I want to use Gemini. I want to use Claude. I want to use Llama. It's got all of the different processors built in. So I can use any of them. And if you know which one works best, like Gemini, you use it when you want current events. And I'll show that here in a second, actually. Oh, here it is. So OpenAI is the one that has ChatGPT. You know that one. That is by far the best answers. Still to this day, it's built on 1.7 trillion parameters. Here's what a parameter is. I see the word scale, right? It's on the shirt, which, by the way, I love that shirt. I got to grab one of those. Not that one, though. I'll get a different one. Okay. The word scale, think of all the connections it has to other words. Let's say it's 1,000 different connections to other words. That's 1,000 parameters in the model. So when you hear 1.7 trillion, that's all the words, everything out there. It's the connections between those words. Okay? Claude 2 is the one by Anthropic. They are very ethically driven. So if you want a trusted source, and they use a lot of humans in the loop on that one, that's a really good one to use. Google Gemini, again, what I like about that most is if I want current events, because ChatGPT is going to have a little bit of a lag. We don't know. It used to be September of 2021. Now we just don't know. Gemini could give you yesterday's NBA scores. So that's a good one. Then Llama is one that you can literally put on your computer. It's a mini version. It's like 20 gigs, and you can build your own models. And yes, companies are doing that today. I'm doing it right now with an Airbnb data set because I want to know how to do it. And I'm using that, and I'm using another one. There's also another really cool one. It's called Mistral. Mistral is the company, Mistral. I just got to put this on my website, all these things for you all. I really do, because my students would get like it as well. But Mistral is creating mini large language models, industry specific. So if you have a question about mortgages, it's going to go to the mortgage model, and then it probably will look at the banking one and maybe something else, but it's only going to look at a couple of them, and it's really fast, and it's industry specific, because the last thing you need is to go. You could go to some mortgage companies right now. I know it's not Citizens Banks. I know they got their thing going. They're doing it the right way. But you can go to some, and when you get the chatbot, ask it about, the British Empire from whatever year, and it's going to give you the answer. Like, I don't need my mortgage company to give me that, but they're basing it on ChatGPT. You want it to be industry specific, and so there's companies doing that. Okay, let's not forget about you. Oh, yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And I do have these slides in a folder for you all. I might have to just tell you what that link is. I don't know if it's was my last version, so I'll see. All right. We got to talk about you, though. What about your model? This is the part that I'm most intrigued with. Words and images are what you're competing against. What do you have that makes you unique and you unique? What makes you unique? Memories, experiences, your knowledge? How about senses? The ability. If I was to equate the human brain to GPT-4, which I'm trying to do, your brain has 86 billion neurons and 100 billion, I'm probably getting a number wrong somewhere, synapses. And I'm like, what the heck's a synapses? You know what that is? The connections in your brain. Is that what it is? I got that right. Yay, I'm almost smart now, right? I have a synapses somewhere working. So if you equate that to parameters, the estimations out there are between 8 and 30 billion. Okay, remember, trillion. 1.7 trillion is where GPT-4 is. My estimation is we're 10 times more. We have 10 times the capacity right now of GPT. But we got better data. We have things that we make decisions with that I don't know if that's in GPT-4. Tell me where empathy is. Tell me where the other components. That is such a complex connection between data points that so it doesn't matter if it catches us in capacity, it ain't going to have our data. Remember that. But does it remember better than us? Heck yeah. If it's got the internet, it's got all the internet. If I try to remember all the internet, we're going to have a lot of data leakage, right? So we really have to think about that. If I'm going to have a conversation, I'm going to use that brain. I still think mine's better than GPT-4. And I'm going to use my memories and knowledge to do that, okay? Those two things together are what are going to make you successful, not one. If you base your business only on AI, you're going to be like everybody else. I can see some people in this room, I can see in your eyes you're going to be successful because of you. Because of you. And then let the AI do all the other stuff. It's better than hiring people to do an average job. All right, so let's talk about you and that Gen AI and the things that go together. Again, you have more capacity. It has better storage. It stores the internet better than you would, or information. But you have the ability, these connections. It's that synapses part that allows you to connect all of these things together. Like I can look at your body language and know if you're paying attention right now, right? That is something that's going to take a long time to get into a computer. And if I'm wrong, by the way, I've been wrong about every prediction I've made in the last few years, so what the heck? But I believe that one. I believe that one. All right. Everything starts with a 4-letter word. This is where I get in trouble with Josh. No, I'm kidding. I don't. It's my favorite word. Every problem is one of these. Everything goes to this word. Share. It's 4 letters. Come on now. Oh, you know it? Is it data? Come on up here. I'll tell you right there. She's redoing this. Yeah, that's exactly it. Why? Now, wait a minute. All right, I'm going to use you. Come on up. No, I'm going to make you come up. Why not? All right, we're going to go with data. All right. This is great. Come on up. I don't know if I'm going to take more time doing this, but who cares, right? All right, what's your name?
Deandra.
Deandra, yes. Okay. Deandra, do you have a business now, or you'd like to? Yes. Oh, you do? You got it. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, y'all. I'm Deandra. I see a lot of familiar faces, so lots of reintroductions and lots of introductions here. But yeah, so I'm Deandra. I'm actually a intimacy and relationship coach, and I'm starting to launch my business in September.
All right, well, I'm 27 years. I don't know if I need that. My wife would say I do. No, I'm just kidding. That's great.
I mean, if you do, we can connect.
But. All right, so with that, I want you to think about, all right, I'm going to give you my favorite, I'm going way off here. This is okay, though. I'm going to give you my favorite animated movie of all time.
Okay.
Lion King. Do you like it or not?
I love the Lion King.
Give me one reason why.
I love the Lion King because it's timeless.
Timeless. What story do you remember when I say the word Lion King? Which character comes to mind first?
Scar.
Scar. So she remembers Scar. Everybody just went somewhere in your life, didn't you? Mm-hmm. I asked ChatGPT that same question. You know what it gave me? No, I asked it, why is it the best movie, because I believe it's the best movie of all time. It gave me, because the sales were 441 million. And I was like, boring. You are what matters. Now, does that 441 million help you if you need it, right? Like when you go to the bank, you're getting it because of your character, because that's a lot of times what matters. If you're going to get somebody to invest in your company, I guarantee you, I get to go to those meetings, by the way. I'm the one sitting with the bankers or the investors. And you know what? Why I go is because I'm the data nerd. Oh, it's great. They always want the data guy. When people leave, they say, I would invest, and they're basing it on the individual. They're not basing it on the data. I would bet on you. I wish I had money. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time. Oh, thank you. All right. That's great. It is the word data. And I would like, and I'm getting the big finish here, I'd like to make sure that we all understand that don't think of data or technology and then a problem. Your business will have things, dilemmas. It doesn't have to be a problem, by the way. I'm using the word problem, that's a little bit too much. But the truth is, start with a problem, then see how technology and your data can help that. But today, you've got to have data. Because in 5 years, when you scale and you get a lot bigger, and you're like, I wish I knew this, the data's not there, you can't go back. It's all about that data. That's why everything's a data problem. Where my wife and I wanted to go last night, it was a data problem. We went online, we looked at Yelp, we looked at things, oh, we've never been to this place. We looked at reviews, we looked at pictures. That's data. If you gave me a suggestion on where to go, that is data. All of that matters when you're doing things. So I highly, highly recommend that. And I'm just going to get these all up here. I hate doing the point stuff. Like, I could have just left with DeAndre, and that would have been it, right? I should have dropped the mic at that point, but I screwed up. Now I'm just making everybody go, oh, now he's making me tired. Here's what I just want to make very clear here. You're starting with your data. What's unique? ChatGPT is not unique. You are unique. Remember that. Remember that. And now, how do you leverage AI? There's two ways to leverage AI right now. One, repetitive tasks. Think about that. There are automation tools out there, or they're already built into things. You can use things like Copilot now in Microsoft, where you can literally prompt and it will give you the equation. Start using that stuff. And by the way, I've asked my students this question, and I firmly believe this. If you want to send automated emails, say you're a bot. Why not? If it says it's DeAndre's bot that sends me an email and she'll get back to me tomorrow, I'm kind of delighted. But if I see it, I'm always going to think right now it's a bot, right? Even if it's really her. So just call it what it is. Be transparent in your strategy. I would love to see that be the thing. All right, the other thing I will say, if you can kind of tell, I like to story tell a little bit more than just give you hard facts. I could have just given you a bunch of links to websites, but you can do that later. Think about that. I love the idea of storytelling. Can I tell you a little bit, last thing, and I'll probably end with this. That Lion King story. I did that for a data storytelling presentation. I brought people up, and I had them talk. And as part of that, I had everybody do a different way of doing it. And the last person, I said, I want you to tell me your experience. And he was a 20-year-old student. And he said, okay. And I'm like, what do you remember most about Lion King? He goes, well, when I was 8 years old, I had a disease where I couldn't leave the house because of the autoimmune type of disease. He goes, so I was stuck in my house for a year, and what I watched almost every day was Lion King. I'm never going to forget that. You know what I am going to forget? 441 million. I'm never going to forget that story. Stories compel people to make decisions. Use stories. Let data improve your stories. Let data scale your stories, but it starts with stories. And if you're trying to get investors, if you're trying to do things, start there. Absolutely. And just please remember, if you look at that large language model, you can go with the ChatGPTs, even ones for the industry, but I want you to focus on you. Get your data in order. Think about two things. How can I replace the repetitive tasks I don't like doing? And then second, generating content to inspire you to keep you who you are. And if you do that, I know you're going to have a business that I want to be part of. And when I make it big, which ain't going to happen, even though I love this whole AI thing and I'm the data nerd in the room, I hope so. But anyways, if you want to listen to my podcast, it's dataforall.io. It's with another guy named Charlie. We have a great time. I talk like this. We tell stories. But more importantly, anything I can do to help, that just gets you to my website. And then that way, send me an email. And you have to take me to coffee, but I pay. How does that sound?